Yeah, as soon as anybody sends in their name and application or resume, I mentioned it at the Borough Assembly meeting. As soon as anybody sends in their name and application or. Okay,
Sorry.
no, I jinxed myself.
Yeah, because I just noticed in the paper that all of that information was being sent to you and not to the Madam Clerk to distribute to the council.
Yes, we talked about that this morning. We did not realize Jack Barnwell certainly did not call and ask anything about that. Pay wrote that without contacting the clerk or myself.
He did leave a message, but I got back to him like before it was already published. So yes, he did leave a message though. He's
Okay.
going off of, I think the YouTube when Anton, the seat that Anton's in, I think he's going off of that YouTube video. But Larry, if anybody forwards anything to Larry, it's going to be forwarded to me so we can present it to council.
Great, thank you.
Okay, let's take a quick 2-minute recess and then we'll get started.
I don't have it with me.
They're getting thin. Getting thin.
Oh, yeah, I just realized when you said you're correct. See,
My thing is to, the kids.
you'll be our deputy mayor pro tem now. They should move up.
Thank you. Last minute.
Gonna see like nobody.
Okay, I see it as one because it's a complete project, but it is what it is. Would you speak to that in your report this evening? Thank you.
Which one? Sure, yeah, I could do that.
That could be a problem, but I got a lot of time.
Thank you. So I feel like I pick on you too much about the prayer. Let me know and I'll put it out for grabs. I would really like to start getting local religious leaders to actually start coming to our meetings and saying prayers for us.
Yep.
And praying for the council instead of us praying for ourselves. I think it's super important that we pray for each other, but have people pray for us at the same time, you know what I mean?
Say the same things.
I know it. I know it.
One day at a time. Don't let it get to you.
It's one, that's it.
Okay.
Just one slow day at a time. Miss Glab. Madam Clerk, are we ready?
Excuse me. Yes, we are.
Good evening, council. Thank you for being here. Sorry, we're getting started a little bit late. Our pre-meeting ran a little long and I thought we should all have a quick break before we start. So thank you for your patience. This is the regular council meeting in the city of North Pole. Thank you all for being here. Today is March 3rd, 2025. With that, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Excuse me, Miss Glab. Here. Mr. Claus.
Here.
Mr. Williams.
Here.
Miss Jacobson, Mr. Jacobson. Oh, he's. Mr. Jacobson,
Yes, present.
Mr. Keller,
Here.
Mayor Church.
Yes, here. If you'll please stand with us, we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we come before thee this evening with gratitude in our hearts for the lovely sun that thou hast blessed us with, and the warmth and the beauty. We're grateful for the opportunity that we have to meet tonight as a city council and as with some community members here in presence as well. We ask you to please bless us with the inspiration and guidance that we need at this time for our meeting, for the discussions that we will have and the things that will be brought before us. We ask you to please help us to make the best decisions possible for our city now and also for the future and the impact that it may have for future generations. And we say these things in the name of our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
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 Thank you, Councilman Keller. That was wonderful. That brings us to approval of the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, move to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
So moved by Councilman Claus and seconded by Councilwoman Glab. Thank you for that. Any adjustments to the agenda? Okay, seeing none. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On the agenda for tonight's meeting, Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Miss Glab. Yes. Mr. Jacobson,
Yes.
Mr. Claus,
Yes.
Mr. Keller,
Yes.
Mayor Church.
Yes. Anyone like to change their vote? Okay, seeing none. That brings us to approval of the agenda, and I would like to move to approve approval of the minutes. Pardon me. Approval of the minutes from February 18th, 2025. I would like to move to approve those minutes from February 18th, 2025.
I'll second.
Second.
Okay, so moved by myself and seconded by Mr. Williams, Councilman Williams, and Councilman Jacobson.
Would you like me to call the roll, or was there any discussion?
Seeing no discussion, yeah, please.
Mr. Claus,
Yes.
Miss Glab,
Yes.
Mr. Jacobson,
Yes.
Mr. Keller, Mr. Williams, and Mayor Church.
Yes. Okay, that takes us to communications from the mayor. Item A. Unfortunately, Chandra Clack has decided to resign. She wrote a very nice letter, very appreciative letter. Thank you for putting that up there. We appreciate her service in everything that has happened in our city over the last year and a half. She did absolutely everything in her power that she possibly could to make our city better in a time where we were all struggling and trying to figure out what in the heck we were going to do. I give her props for stepping up and making that happen, and very much appreciate her time in doing that. And then also the week that I got to spend with her, in her helping me, giving me some pointers on how to do this job. It isn't easy, and I very much appreciated that. So I was sad to receive that letter, and I'm sad that she's not here tonight to see her picture on the back wall. We finally got Council Chambers straightened out and added past Mayor Welch and Mayor Clack to the back wall. And it's great to see her back there. So unfortunately, it leaves us with another empty council seat, but we're thankful for the time that she put in and the duty to her city. Gosh, it's hard. Today, I had the chance to go down and see the start of the Iditarod in Fairbanks. Pretty exceptional time. If you didn't get to see it, you missed out on history. It is the fourth time since 1973 that it has started in Fairbanks, and I hope that we get to see it again. I know that there was a lot of kids that got the chance to go down and see that from the Riverboat Discovery, so thank you to the Binkleys for opening up and allowing our school-age children to stand on your shore, stand on your dock, have a warm space to stand, to watch the dogs go by and enjoy that. I would like to give a shout out to the North Pole Choir who sang the Alaska Flag Song at the beginning of that. I don't know if any of you were there, but you missed out on a wonderful rendition of the national anthem sung by Tommy G. And this morning, all three mayors of the borough did a proclamation for the Iditarod, which was wonderful, thanking them for being here. It's an exciting time for our entire area and for our state, but good to be there. Other things, so as mayor, you get tied into a lot of things, and things that most people take for granted. And the state transportation improvement plan is one of those things. The STIP, S-T-I-P. If you care about our roads, you care about our highway funding, you care about anything across the state, these are the programs that get put into place over the next 5 to 10 years as far as road improvements. This is where you're going to find out about new overpasses that you may not want in your town, or roundabouts that may be happening. And sometimes they get fast-tracked, but a lot of times this is where it comes, and it's not very well publicized. So I'm doing my best. State of Alaska, STIP, the Statewide Transportation Improvement Program. If you're interested, check it out. It's pretty cool. And super important for you to kind of pay attention to. It's a lot of different things, but if you don't know what's happening around you, we do one thing really well, and we get passionate about things, but it always seems to be too late. We get passionate about things and we get upset about things after they have kind of already been planned and put into place. And if we can get ahead of that and really get our voices out there, that's when we can change some things. With that being said, the Fairbanks North Star Borough is also updating their 20-year comprehensive plan, which would directly affect everybody in this room. You live in the borough, this is the trails, the roads, Sidewalks, pedestrian paths, bike paths, anything that might come in the next 20 years is going to be in this comprehensive plan. And you have an opportunity to check out the plan, give your opinion of what you want, what you don't want over the next 20 years in the borough. It is certainly worth checking out and giving your opinion on. Let's talk about City Hall remodel. So we have a full chambers. Things are complete. There's a few tiny little loose ends we got to tie up, some cove base, a few other things, but all in all, City Hall remodel is finally complete. A month and a half, 2 months late, but better late than never. It's a wonderful thing. And if you got a chance afterwards, it is worth taking a walk through and checking things out. Business licenses. Let's talk about that real quick. If you are doing business inside the city of North Pole, please get a business license. It's $75. The benefit to that is we are updating our website with your business, and business license is how we track that. We want to be able to have your business out there. We want to be a marketer for you. So if you have a business license with us, you'll be on the website. We'll do some marketing for you and try and push people to you through your phone number, your website. Please have it on there so that we can put that on our website and try and drive you traffic and people. If you as a business in North Pole are successful, the city is successful, and we are successful as an entire community. Hard pack removal will be happening here in the next day or two, and then you will see Public Works out and about, clearing out culverts, getting ready for the drainage, trying to prevent any area flooding that we may have, and taking care of that and getting that taken care of. Thank you, Madam Clerk, for spinning that camera around. So this is our local artwork from Summit Academy. This is the first grade class over at Summit Academy. They had an art show last Friday evening. This is the first grade class. They decided to do bears. I think it's wonderful that we're able to appreciate this art and that it's here in Chambers. It really does bring a loving touch to our chambers. And thank you, Summit Academy, for allowing us to display it and present that. I think it's wonderful. And I would like to try and make this a regular thing where we have schools from our local area come in and put up different art projects that they may have and display that here in our council chambers. I think it's nice to be able to get back to that. I know that that was something that was done back in Councilman Jacobson's day when he was mayor. I appreciated that, and I think it's really important to support our local art. With that, I will shut my trap and move on to questions of the mayor.
Mr. Mayor,
Sorry. I was hoping that possibly Chief Dutra was going to have something to say.
I'm sorry, I was going to do that afterwards.
Oh,
Chief, if you wouldn't mind coming up and taking some time. Thank you, sir. Good to see you this evening.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. So I just wanted to let everybody know this is my last council meeting. Nobody really knew that, so that's probably why there's nobody here. But it worked out. I was supposed to be at the next one, and we probably would have made some sort of announcement. But since something else has come up on the 17th, I won't be here, and then I start my vacation. So this is it. My last time in front of you, and just wanted to say a few words and let everybody know how much I appreciate. Obviously, my retirement has been announced, and May 1 will be my first day of retirement. So after almost 29 years, so it's quite a lift, I guess, quite a experience. But anyway, I just want to thank all the mayors. I appreciate everybody for what they've offered me over the years and done for me, and all the neat things. I definitely want to thank the council and each one of you that's up here and all the past councils. I've had interactions with all of you on different levels, and I appreciate those contacts and those interactions. Each one of you has a place in my heart. And Santa, the longest serving, of course. I don't know how many years we go back, but I thank you for all your confidence and you let me bend your ear many a times on many a issue, and I've been grateful for that. And I think we accomplished a lot, and for the betterment of the community. And Ellie, as our HR, we had some significantly stressful events and got through a lot and worked through a lot, and it was great working with you. And I'm sorry to hear that you are leaving as well. So I don't know if I was supposed to say that, but anyway, thank you, Benny. Actually, appreciate everything you guys have done. So Mayor Church. I just want to thank former Mayor Isaacson for believing in me, giving me the opportunity so many years ago, appointing me as chief. I was young, well, not young, but I was young in my career, but I made it. So that's pretty cool. I appreciate him seeing something in me and giving me that chance. And hopefully I've done everything he wanted me to do. And I do want to thank former Mayor Jacobson for your guidance. I don't see him on the screen, but as a young sergeant, I remember having many conversations in his office when I was aspiring to fill bigger shoes, and he's always been there, and I appreciate everything he's done for me. And Mayor Bryce Ward, it was great to work with him. Just an amazing support over the years, and of course, Mayor Church, I appreciate your support and helped me wrap up my service to this community, and you've been great to me, and I'm very thankful for that. And Mayor Clack for her short period of time here, and I've developed a friendship with her, and I think she's a great person, and I hope I keep in touch with most of you throughout the years to come. So I don't plan on going anywhere. At least I don't think so. I would like to thank my friends and coworkers, especially Tricia and Emily, for their amazing support. Tricia is responsible for most of my success throughout my career, and I'll forever be in her debt. I wouldn't have made it this far without her. Emily's been a breath of fresh air since she started. She's been a true professional, so thank you for that. And I have been planning my retirement for quite some time. I did plan on leaving a year or two ago, but I stuck around, and I wanted the time to be right for me to go and make sure that I was turning it over at a good time with good people and people ready to fill my shoes, and that time has come. So my wife and I are excited. My wife, my Monica is here, and I haven't got to her yet, so anyway, I'll get to that part. Anyway, yeah, so it's perfect time. I work with an amazing group of people. You have an amazing department. I'm not just doing my own harm, but we've worked hard at getting the right people in the right time in the right places. And I will say this, that we are fully staffed as I walk out the door. So if anything happens after I'm gone, it is not my fault. Your staff is top notch, okay? I mean, honestly, good people, good folks. Everybody gets along. There's such a good crew. We should be thankful for the police officers we have working in our department. I'm truly happy about that. It makes me feel good knowing that that's happening. I also want to thank my wife and kids for their support, obviously through every up and down throughout this entire process. So couldn't have made it without them, and that's very, very much appreciated. NPB is an amazing agency. I'm confident it's in good hands. It's been a lot of work massaging people in different positions and getting them to the place where they need to be to take over. And I hope I've instilled my morals in this group of people about commitment to community and the importance of that. And I think we'll do fine on those grounds. So I'm excited about that. As I stated, May 1st will be my retirement date, and I will be slowly migrating my responsibilities to Lieutenant Smith to take over or train the next chief or be the next chief, hopefully. So we'll see how that goes. We're excited for that. He will be an amazing either way, I'm sure, if you decide to pick him as chief mayor. And lastly, I do want to thank Lieutenant Smith for being there to support me and help guide their department. It wouldn't be the place it is today without him. So I do thank him. And there are Lieutenant Lenhig as well. He's gone retired and left me, but he too was responsible for bringing it to where it is today. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I appreciate you allowing me to serve. That's all I have. Thank you.
Chief, thank you for your dedication to this community, to our city, to your coworkers, but to the things that you have donated over your time of service. I think about the Memorial Park. I think about Operation Glow. I think about Shop with a Cop, Coffee with a Cop. And I'm sure there's 10,000 more things that you have done that I couldn't even start to talk about. But thank you for every single one. You have made a valuable difference in our community, and thank you just doesn't seem enough. It really doesn't. You're wonderful, and we really do appreciate you, and hope that you enjoy your last 2 months at the city of North Pole.
Thank you, sir.
And Monica, we wish you the best as well. Um,
And apologize.
We will miss having him around every single day, for sure. I'm glad that we still have a few months left that we get to enjoy him. So, with that, Madam Clerk, I believe that takes us to citizens' comments.
Point
Yes.
of order, we actually have questions of the mayor first.
Oh, tried to get there the first time. All right. Questions of the mayor. Does anybody have questions of the mayor?
Mayor, I was going to comment before you got into that, not only as a mayor pro tem, but as a former special assistant deputy police commissioner of New York City. I wanted to thank also Chief Dutra for his selfless and stellar service, not just for the 30 or so, almost 30 years here in the city of North Pole, but also for representing us really well at the state level and also with some of the different federal interactions as well, and not to mention all the training and other things. So my heart goes out to you and your family. I wish you a happy retirement, and we're so happy to have had you here, and it's a blessing for this city. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman Claus. That was wonderful. Anyone else?
I don't have any questions for you at the moment.
Okay. Madam Clerk, that takes us to citizen comments.
Okay. I don't have anybody that digitally signed up today. Any person wishing to speak needs to sign up on the list located on the public testimony table. Respectful standards of decorum and courtesy should be observed by all speakers. Remarks should be directed to the council as a body rather than any one member of the council or staff. Comments are limited to 5 minutes.
Please. Step on up. How are you, Mr. Rixey?
Oh.
Good to see you.
So for the record here, I'm Howard Rixey, and I am speaking on behalf of the North Pole Lions Foundation tonight there, which operates the Aurora Borealis Lions Eyeglass Recycling Center. So I'm speaking on behalf of them as well as Better Way Construction, and the two of us organize every year the North Pole Championships, otherwise known, a couple years ago, we redubbed that the Buzz Otis Memorial Championship, comprised of 2 races, one of which is the Ken Ross Fort Knox Junior North American Championships, which is the junior mushers, and then the Mount McKinley Bank North Pole Championship, which are the adult mushers. And so this past weekend, since last Wednesday, we've been actively conducting these championships over at Morningstar Park. I'm happy to report that it went off without a hitch there. Nice weather, what have you. We had a total of 60 mushers out there over the course of the time there. I just wanted to kind of give you an idea too of what that involved. So that was about 80 volunteers accruing over 1,000 volunteer hours there. We had just about 250 spectators, so or tourists, if you would. So that was great there. And about 34 different organizations donating funds to it. So we're really excited about the success of it. And one of the things that we culminated with in our award ceremony on Sunday was realizing that next year it will be our 50th year of doing this. So we are bound and determined to make next year something really special for it there. So that's all I wanted to share with y'all.
Any questions for Mr. Rixey? I do. It was great to see you out there on Friday, and thank you for being the voice
Actually.
in the box for the mushers, the start and the finish, and announcing that. You do a lot for our community, and we do appreciate that. That was a big deal, and it was good to see you out there on Friday.
Well, thank you very much.
Fun to watch. Anyone else? All right. Moving on, communications from department heads. Madam Clerk, let's start with you and give your voice just a quick chance to recoup there.
Just that we do have now an opening on council. Currently, Chandra has resigned, but also Ellie has submitted, I believe, Ellie, the understanding was you're going to work through the April 7th meeting? April. Okay, so March so we'll have a second opening, and anybody can either email Larry or myself, and we'll share all the candidates with the council. If you guys know anybody that's interested, please send them our contact information. I don't really have anything other than that to report. I think I might be catching something. I don't want to share.
Okay. Please don't.
Yeah.
But we're glad that you're here.
May I ask a question real quick? With the opening seat that's currently open and the one that's pending in 2 weeks or 4, could we make a post or a blurb on the website and maybe even a web page that we can send and share?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like link to the ordinance and specify what's needed. And I would put your email address so we don't have to inundate mayor here and just have it directly to you.
Sure. Clack's seat is like a 7-month, and Glab's seat's like a 2.5-year commitment. So yeah, I will absolutely do that.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Moving on. Madam CFO, let's go right down the line here.
Evening, everyone. I had a couple of things. Like Larry said, that the building remodel is coming to a wrap up. We've had quite a few customers come to the front counter. Very impressed. It's nice to see. We even had a lady that came to the front counter and it said, "I don't mind paying the 5.5% sales tax." And I said, and she doesn't even, she lives outside the city, but gets city water. So she was part of the Flint Hills expansions. That was really nice. And it continues to happen almost daily right now. So it's nice. So I tallied up the cost of the building remodel tonight, and the building remodel that the Public Works guys did for us, the total on that is $13,640. The front counter was the most expensive piece, and that was the cabinets and the countertops, and that cost to those two items was $13,100. So we are a little bit over the total of $24,000. We're sitting right now, and I don't suspect we're going to buy anything else. We moved into the offices today, and it's just a cleanup thing now. So the total of those two items is $26,000. Don't really have anything else other than the resolution that was sent in the packet to change the account signers. I think that Madam Clerk maybe made
I updated it to take
update
it.
it.
And I
So
got
we don't have to do
everybody's,
it again in two more meetings.
I got everybody's signature except for Mr. Jacobson.
Oh, okay. And today I lost all my printers, so I was going to bring in the AML that needs a signer, but I'll just bring that to the next meeting. So we'll have to remove Ellie and Chandra.
Would it be simpler?
Yeah, that's, I think, what the plan was after today's announcement.
I apologize.
That's all right.
Oh, yeah, I took, it's no big deal. I took it off and I updated the agenda packet online already, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and Friday, for whatever reason, Mayor Church was checking to make sure the packet was on, and we've kind of figured out going through Chrome sometimes wasn't helpful, but we went through Firefox and everything was updated. So if you have trouble with the website, try a different browser. Thank you.
Yep. Any questions? Okay. Thank you. Lieutenant Smith. Good evening, sir.
So just a couple things going on around the agency you should be aware of. We did just complete our annual control tactics in service training, which is a wonderful team building exercise where we get to thump on one another for 10 hours straight. It's pretty amazing. So I really deeply appreciate Detective Cash taking lead on that. He's given us some excellent skills and nobody got hurt. So success. Yeah, it was a good time. Officer Wright, you may know, is currently working his way through FTO. So he did just get released from first phase on to second phase. If you didn't know, there's actually 3 of them, 3 months, and then a 2-week final check off at the end. So he's now on second phase. So if you see him, say, congratulations, keep going, sir. Do well. He's doing great though. As we've talked about in the meeting of the whole, you'll have the fiscal note on the agenda. Just again, quick summary, we're upgrading the radio system in the station so that we have redundancy and we can have both of our repeater radio and also the conventional channel actually working well together. So that will hopefully improve radio communications in the North Pole area. But that is a note to move 11,500 from building maintenance to equipment outlay. I did just last week conduct a quarterly drug presentation at North Pole Middle School. Every year they call and they want us to come back and talk to them. The kids end up doing a unit on substance abuse, and so we're kind of the culminating presentation of that. But it was really good this year. I actually got notes from every one of the kids a few days afterward. First time that's happened. It was pretty cool. And then what's already been announced, which is Chief's retirement. I did just want to say a couple words on that, given that this is his final meeting. You know, I met him in 2010, fresh out of the academy. I was 22 years old, kid. Still feel like a kid sometimes, but I actually rode the last few days of my field training with him, which, talk about stress, riding with your lieutenant during that last checkoff. He's been my chief for over 13 years. I'm going to try not to get emotional about it, but he's watched me grow up in police work. And in many respects, he feels like a dad. He's been one of the greatest mentors of my life. And he's done that by always supporting me, always encouraging me, and definitely telling me when I was wrong and telling it straight. And I very much owe what I am in policing today to him, and I want him to know that. This is a very, very bittersweet thing for me because I'm very, very happy and excited to see him move on to something different. You can't stay in a job forever because it's a great job, but at the end of the day, it is a job. And so I'm thankful to see that, but it is very hard for me to see him leave. I'm confident in the department. I'm confident for the future, but I want him to know just how much the agency and how much I personally appreciate all the work that he's done over the years. And that's all I have, unless you guys have some questions.
Thank you.
Right.
Good evening, Mayor, Council.
Evening.
First off, I'd also like to offer my congratulations to Chief Dutra. No, I will say I'm a little jealous, but no, I'm not there yet. So, but yeah, you know, Steve is definitely been a colleague, but a friend. It's been wonderful having him available to, you know, to bend his ear as I was learning how to be a fire chief. You know, having him there was definitely a benefit towards my career. So once again, I'm sure all of us have these type of stories, but I'm very much appreciative of him and his time here. So he's going to be definitely missed. So the fire station things are going well. Springtime, we do a lot of training. As the sun comes out, it gets a little bit warmer. It's a little bit easier to get onto the training grounds. And so that's what we've been doing primarily the last several weeks, and we'll be continuing to do so. Our staff currently are undertaking 2 different courses. We've got a firefighter 2 course going on that some of the staff are taking. And then we've got what we call FADO. It's basically driver operator class that's going on as well this spring that they'll be testing out later in April for those state certifications. So a lot of training going on, a lot of movement, and we just love this time of year as things start to warm up. You can see the end of winter coming. It's a great time for our staff to get outside and practice and hone their skills. So they've been working hard and doing that, and I appreciate their hard work, and I appreciate Assistant Chief Chambers' coordination efforts to make those courses happen. Not much more to report for tonight. There was one other thing, and now it's just escaped me. I guess it wasn't that important. It escaped my mind. So with that, I can take questions.
I almost stopped the other day when I saw you in a training exercise running around the 2 or 3 cars that you had over there. I was hoping maybe you had the jaws of life, and if I wasn't late for an appointment, I looked over and I thought, oh man, that would be cool. And then I wanted to ask too about the apprenticeship program. How is that coming along? You're still taking applications for that?
We sure are. The apprentices for next year that start this July 1, that application process is open till the end of this month. And then through April, we put them through the testing process, and sometime mid to late April is when we make announcements as to who those candidates will be. We have received several applications, so I'm confident we'll have a good application pool, but we're looking for more. I'm surprised. We've actually had quite a few come through the homeschool programs, which was really exciting to see that. So we're seeing kind of a diverse application pool this time. So that's really exciting. And our current apprentices, as they work towards this last quarter of their 12-month apprenticeship, they're doing tremendously well. I mean, they have gotten to the point now. It's impressive to see how they've just been incorporated as staff members by the rest of the staff. They're being used daily, running emergency calls. They're tremendous asset to our staffing abilities, which 6 months ago, they were still learning. They were still not a hindrance, but they weren't such an asset on these emergency calls, where now they are definitely showing that they are capable and doing the job well. So yeah, we look forward to encouraging them on and moving them into the next step of their careers.
That's pretty exciting. And hopefully in 13 years, when you retire, you can have a deputy or a lieutenant come forth and say the same thing that Lieutenant Smith said about Dutra. That would be wonderful. Any other questions for Chief? Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it.
Mayor, I did have a question come to me for Miss Fogarty, if we could call her back up. Sorry.
Ms. Fogarty.
Sorry, Miss Fogarty. I had a question that is like stirring in my brain.
Okay.
All right, so going back to the building remodel, the $13,640 out of the public works, was that including the labor, or is that just materials and supplies?
That's materials and supplies.
Okay, and then the front counter was also another $13,000,
Correct.
which that goes over the $24,000 limit, which means we as a council need to do something so we can actually do this to code. Is that correct?
I was just reporting it, right?
So that should be a question for the Miss Clerk then. How do we go about ratifying what has come about and what the fear was when this project came out, that the budget went over the $24,000 spending allotment or allowance or approval?
I mean, is everything that was done. We did do some, we had some extra wiring, we moved the keypads. It was just, so some of those costs were nothing our department could do.
Correct.
So
That's, so as
this
far
is all
as-
the way down to like nails.
Yep.
So
But if we look at it as a building project, the proposal needed to come to the city council if it was over 24,000. And now it's over 24,000 and we're going against code. So how do we rectify this?
We can bring it to the next council meeting as an action item.
Okay. I just want to make sure that we do this properly so we don't get nipped.
so would it be a request?
Oh, yeah, request to council.
I guess approve what's already done.
Approve the two projects or approve the project.
Right.
Yeah.
No, we can't go down a rabbit hole again of having two projects, but they're actually the same project when we've had the same issue with this kind of thing with previous administration. And that's how we got in some of the issues we were in. So we need to, this is a small amount difference. Let's nip it. And so we can get things going.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
Trish, do we need to include the equipment that was also part of this project?
I'm not sure what you mean.
But I thought when we discussed it back in December that there was some new equipment that was purchased with the reorganization of the office workspaces. Would that be considered part of this so that we just wrap it all up in one package?
Equipment like a computer, is that what you mean?
Computers, I don't know, copiers, something. You had mentioned that there were some additional purchases made in the 2024 budget when we did one of the amendments that I had asked you about this project at that point.
Well, we started the project in 2024, maybe in November. And we had ordered some, not necessarily a computer, but like a printer so we could take people's credit cards and they would have a receipt. We did some of those things in 2024. I did not include that in here because those came out of office supplies. And we probably would have purchased that regardless of the remodel.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you. So Borough Representative, I did attend the Borough meeting last Thursday. Gave my report and did take off about 7:30. I did drive home and watch the meeting from the house regarding the capital improvement projects and the things that the borough did talk about there at the meeting. It's been in the paper, so if you didn't have the chance to read that, the only real capital improvement project that was on the mix for 27-28 would be the Fifth Avenue Park improvements. They have kind of been kicking that can down the road for a while. They have budgeted $1.8 million, I believe, in improvements for the Fifth Avenue Park. I'm not sure exactly what their plans are. But they certainly want to allocate some money towards it in capital improvements, and I think that's good for our community. I don't know about $1.8 million, but I think it's certainly good to have improvements in our park and rec, but at a reasonable spending limit. There was a couple other public comments made, but that's here nor there, and I don't care to get off in the weeds with all of that. Was pretty well talked about in the paper. If you haven't read it and you like drama, feel free to read. With that being said, that moves us on to ongoing project report, the North Pole Economic Development Update. Anton, would you like to take that, or Mr. Rixey, would you like to take that as chair? Is there an update from that North Pole Economic Development Committee? Yes, quite. I mean, we could push that to the next meeting if you'd like, or, okay, all right. Any objection to that? Okay, seeing none, so moved. Brings us to item 11. Unfinished business, item A, ordinance 25-01, an ordinance amending the 2025 budget for the first and second time?
Ordinance 2501 is the first time, ordinance 2502 is the second time.
For the first time.
It's the second reading.
Can we bring that to the floor?
Move to introduce ordinance 2025-01 and ordinance amending the 2025 budget for the first time.
Second.
Actually, it's moved to adopt.
Adopt, sorry.
I'll second.
Okay. Move to adopt by Councilman Claus and seconded by Councilwoman Glab. Any discussion on this?
Or public comment at all.
Okay. I believe we talked about this last time. Madam Clerk, would you just mind scrolling down? There we go, to the fiscal note there. So sewer in and out, that's the $300,000 for the outfall project. The volunteer capacity grant that we spoke about at last meeting, and then the grant for the highway the highway subdivision park over there. Seeing no discussion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On ordinance 2501 and ordinance amending the 2025 budget for the first time, Mr. Keller,
Yes.
Ms. Glab,
Yes.
Mr. Jacobson,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Claus,
Yes.
Mayor Church.
Yes. That brings us, I'm sorry, would anyone like to change their vote? Okay. Thank you. That brings us on to item B. And Madam Clerk, a point of clarification, since we have added an additional utilities roundup to this, I know it's unfinished business, but since there is a second one, okay to discuss an unfinished business?
This is the one that's postponed from the last meeting, so we would need to discuss this under unfinished and the second roundup under new business.
Okay. Okay, so I would like to move to bring the request to council for the utilities roundup 2501, which was postponed from our February 18th, 2025 city council meeting.
Second.
So moved by myself and seconded by Councilman Claus. Discussion about this bill. And truly the question is, and the decision is, how much should the council forgive? And we kind of went back and forth in the council of the whole, our pre-meeting, to decide how we should go about this. And it's super tough to decide how to look at each single roundup request. Wow.
Ooh.
Psychedelic. How to look at each council request of this program, whether we do it as a percentage, whether we do it as a portion, and how we decide each one of these individually based on merit or anything else. I think it certainly should be taken into effect that we've received a letter from this individual asking for some sort of ease on the $369 bill, but it is up to us this evening to decide how much ease they get.
Move to allot 50% out of our Roundup program to cover 50% of this increase on their bill.
Okay, so it has been moved by Mr. Jacobson and seconded and amended by Mrs. Clack. And let me just make sure that we have the wording correct. So you, sorry, Glab, I am so sorry, Miss Glab. Boy, that was kind of embarrassing. I apologize. And it's also kind of an honor at the same time. Embarrassing.
It's okay.
With the 50%, if you wouldn't mind repeating that again, Councilman Jacobson.
Of the move to pay 50% of the water bill that was presented to us indicating the increase. So of that entire bill, we would pay 50% of that.
Okay, so essentially half of that month's bill, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Or public comment at all? No.
Okay. Madam Clerk?
Okay, so that was an amendment to the Roundup request. Mr. Jacobson, seconded by Ms. Glab, moved to pay 50% of this water bill on this motion. Mr. Jacobson?
Yes.
Mr. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Keller?
Yes.
Ms. Glab?
Yes.
And Mayor Church?
Yes.
And then on the motion to approve the request to council, Roundup Request 2501, Mr. Claus,
Yes.
Mr. Keller,
Yes.
Ms. Glab,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Jacobson,
Yes.
and Mayor Church.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone like to change their vote? Okay, perfect. Seeing none, that brings us to new business. 12A, ordinance 2025-02, an ordinance amending the 2025 budget for the second time.
Move to introduce ordinance 2025-02, ordinance amending 2025 budget for the second time.
I'll second.
Second.
Also move to amend the, I can't read my own writing, the fund that it should come out of, that it should be building maintenance and not wages for the general fund. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
I can't read my own writing, maybe. Anyways, move to amend.
Okay.
Hey, right?
Second.
I apologize. Whew. Just diving through the paperwork here, trying to get back on track. Okay. Moved by Councilman Keller, seconded by Councilman Jacobson. The amendment is to, instead of pulling out of wages, to pull out of
Building maintenance.
building maintenance
Maintenance.
on an amendment, and that was moved by you and seconded by Councilman Claus. Thank you. Discussion.
Can I ask Trish a question?
Go ahead, please.
Is the building maintenance have that in it for it to be moved?
I assume so. I didn't understand that that's where they really wanted it to come out of, because that's where they budgeted for this project. But it's not it's not affixed to the building, so it would really be equipment outlay. So that's where I should have moved it, but Steve was gone. And Jed and I talked about it, and I don't know that we were both on the same page, so I will make if it passes, I'll make that adjustment and it'll show on the second reading of this.
Figured I would ask that.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, discussion? Madam Clerk.
On the amendment to ordinance 2502, an ordinance amending the budget for the second time, to Trish will change the fiscal note. Mr. Keller,
Yes.
Mr. Claus,
Yes.
Ms. Glab,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Jacobson,
Yes.
and Mayor Church.
Yes.
And was there more discussion? I didn't want to call roll on the.
No, any more discussion? Please.
Okay, on first reading of ordinance 2025-02, an ordinance amending the budget for the 2025 budget for the second time. Mr. Keller,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Glab, Mr. Jacobson,
Yes.
Mr. Claus,
Yes.
Mayor Church.
Yes.
Thank you.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Okay. Thank you. Seeing none, that takes us to item B. Resolution 2025-05, a resolution supporting the development of a vertical harvest, greenhouse, and affordable housing program in the city of North Pole.
Move to introduce and adopt.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. So moved by Councilman Jacobson and seconded by Councilman Williams. Do we have someone to step up to the plate to give some information about this?
Absolutely. I will be happy to do so. To help me introduce this, I figured I'd show a video here, or have Miss Clerk, Madam Clerk, show a video, and then I'll go ahead and read the resolution. Oh, there's a speaker button on the right-hand side.
Okay. There you go.
Can we turn that up just a little bit? Is
I think it's in the speaker system, Madam Clerk. Speaker. Oh, the
There we go. Let me restart that.
That's fine.
Okay, sorry for the technical difficulties, and here we go.
This is a multi-million-dollar hydroponic greenhouse.
The goal here was to build something that was modern.
The phrase a for-profit business and nonprofit soul until we were a for-profit business and nonprofit soul. Tomatoes are looking a little bit sad at the moment. So we just need to know, what can we grow that food based here ourselves? So we can get something.
We're getting fresh tomatoes.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, whereas the interior of Alaska is vulnerable to food chain disruptions due to its reliance on transportation routes through Canada and from Anchorage, highlighting the need for sustainable local food sources. And whereas the high energy costs in the interior necessitates the adoption of sustainable and cost-effective agricultural practices to ensure economic viability. And whereas, according to U.S. Census Bureau, 9.8% of the Fairbanks North Star borough's population comprises of individuals with disabilities, underscoring the importance of providing personal and economic growth opportunities for this community. And whereas the demand for housing in the interior Alaska has reached unprecedented levels, driven by a short construction season and a growing population supporting military installations in the oil and gas industry. And whereas Vertical Harvest has successfully implemented projects that combine vertical farming with affordable housing, including their flagship location in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, which provides fresh, locally grown produce year-round while creating meaningful employment opportunities for individuals with disabilities. And whereas Vertical Harvest has expounded its innovative model to Westbrook, Maine, where their multi-story greenhouse is integrated with residential units producing or will produce approximately 1 million pounds of fresh produce annually while fostering workforce development and economic inclusion. And whereas Vertical Harvest model emphasizes local food production, economic inclusion, and community engagement, aligning with the city council, with the City of North Pole's goals to enhance food security, provide affordable housing, and create employment opportunities. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that the City Council of North Pole, Alaska hereby expresses its support for the proposed Vertical Harvest Greenhouse and Affordable Housing Development Program, recognizing its potential to enhance local food security through sustainable agriculture, mitigate high energy costs by implementing efficient growing methods, growing meaningful employment and personal development opportunities for individuals with disabilities, and address critical need for affordable housing within the community. Be it therefore further resolved that the City Council supports collaboration with Vertical Harvest and relevant stakeholders to facilitate the planning and development of this program. So this program has been in the works for quite a few years. This particular company was brought to the North Pole Economic Development Committee after it was presented to the council, actually just over a year ago. And all that was needed to send a packet to the company to look at North Pole seriously was a resolution or something saying that the municipality would actually support this. So with writing this, I have not come up with another company or entity that combines housing program, sustainable foods, and workforce development, especially for those with disabilities, which they're 9.8% of the population is a pretty good percentage. So I present this to us as a council to discuss and hopefully adopt.
Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Keller.
Welcome.
Questions of Mr. Keller and his resolution?
Mayor?
Oh, let me turn that right back down. Okay.
Go ahead, Councilman Jacobson.
Yes, I don't necessarily have a question. I just am expressing support for the passage of this resolution in that this company is willing to invest in our community. But they first wanted some acknowledgement that we were interested in having that investment in our city. This does not commit the city to any dollar amount at this point. I think what it does is that it begins a discussion of how this project could happen in our community by us expressing interest in having something like that in our city.
Okay. Thank you for your support. Any other questions? All right, if I may, I have a couple of questions. I emailed you earlier today, Mr. Keller, and Councilman Claus, a couple of questions here that people have asked me, and I added mine in with it. I don't see any plans with this other than the video as to the size of the structure. Do you have any of those thoughts, ideas? I did look at the video and I saw that the one in Maine or the one in Wyoming they're a little differently built. I didn't know what the intent was here in the interior. Have you personally reached out to this company and talked with them about their plans or what they would have if this resolution was passed?
I personally have not. The person that's been in contact is Clint Summers, who's a member of the North Pole Economic Development Committee. He's the one that's been the spearhead on this one. As far as some of the questions that you have, we don't have answers and they don't have answers, I don't think, as a company, because why would they invest time and thought into a project where we as a city haven't come forward and expressed support for? So as far as the size, I don't know. The size of the one in Jackson Hole is a 3-story greenhouse. They don't have listed on their website as square footage. However, the one in Maine, let me see here. Just saw it. The one in Maine is a 4-story, 52,000 square foot building. And they're projecting to grow 1 to 2 million pounds of produce out of that building.
Okay. I worry about the source of heat. I worry about this being sustainable. I know I try and think outside of the box on everything, and I worry about how you would heat it, the manpower to be able to fill this with businesses already in town having struggles to fill spots. It is a concern. The cost to build is certainly a concern. Things are a whole lot cheaper to build in Maine and certainly a lot cheaper in Wyoming. I worry about the amount of water that would be used as could be a burden on the city and the cost of that for the business or the entity, where the used water and nutrients would go. I think about the source of heat. I mean, as all of you know, gas is expensive. So is heating oil. I'll be real honest. I thought about this long and hard after watching the video, and I think Prudhoe Bay might be a better facilitated place to have this. And I know that sounds kind of outside of the box and sort of crazy, but they have the source of natural gas to be able to heat the building. They have the ability to house man camps up there and build greenhouses around maybe a man camp that they already have to include that. But the heat source is truly the big one. And then they get fresh produce up on the north slope that they can run and transport anywhere throughout the state, as trucking south on an empty truck is a lot cheaper than going north, where they're hauling goods up north, delivering those. They have a ton of empty trailers and trucks headed south. Not that I'm opposed to this idea. I think it truly does bring a lot of merit. We have an ample amount of marijuana grows that are very profitable around here. if fruit, vegetables, and everything else was as profitable, they would be doing that instead of weed. It just brings me some concern. I think that the idea is certainly worth looking into. And definitely has its merits.
So Mayor, with your frank concerns, may I be frank with you with, that's the business opportunity that they have to actually research. It's not our job as a city council. As far as heating it, if you've gone to the food bank, their building's pretty warm. I don't know how they're going to do it. I just know that they can. We have natural gas here. Yes, it's not in a pipeline yet, but we have ample source there for right now. As far as how much water to use, I have no idea. It's going to have to depend on the size of the building that they design and to put here in the area. How big of an area? Don't know. Where? Don't know. This is just our stamp approval or stamp of support to the company that we would invite them and support them in this cause. So they can go and do their own research. It's not our, I don't think that's up to us as city council to say, you can't do this because this is limited.
All right. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On Resolution 2025-05, a resolution supporting the development of a vertical harvest greenhouse and affordable housing program in the city of North Pole. Mr. Keller,
Yes.
Ms. Glab,
Yes.
Mr. Claus,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Jacobson,
Yes.
Mayor Church.
No. Would anyone like to change their vote? Okay. Seeing none.
That passes with 5 affirmatives.
Okay. Moving on. Brings us to item C, Resolution 25-06, a resolution establishing the tax levy rate for 2025 real property tax to the city of North Pole. Like to move to adopt.
Second?
So moved by myself and seconded by Councilwoman Glab. Discussion on that resolution? Questions?
I do. Just a point of inquiry. How often do we do this? I know it's once a year. And then do we do that during budgeting time? Like Thanksgiving, November? Yes, Ms. Fogarty.
Several years ago, it was just done by the budget ordinance. Maybe it's been a while, maybe 8 years ago, they asked for a resolution and we have to have that resolution to them by June.
Okay.
So there is kind of, we had, actually the first year we caught it, we had to have a special meeting. So now it is talked about in the budget. It's on the budget line, but the borough wants a resolution.
And it needs to be one for that current year.
Yes.
And that's why it's waiting.
Mhm.
We wait for the following year.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Uh-huh.
I do, if I may, dislike the way it's put in. There's not really a change. It's the same as it was and has been for almost 2 years. We're just reinstilling the fact that it is that way and we'd wish to move forward with it. Any other questions? Madam Clerk.
On Resolution 2506, a resolution establishing rate of tax levy for 2025 real property taxes in the city of North Pole. Ms. Glab,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Claus, Mr. Keller,
Yes.
Mr. Jacobson,
Yes.
and Mayor Church.
Yes. Anyone like to change their vote? Seeing none. Thank you. That brings us to item D, a resolution designating city officials authorized to sign on City of North Pole accounts. It's Resolution 2025-07. I'd like to move to introduce that.
I'll second.
So moved by myself and seconded by Councilman Williams. Any discussion on that?
Is it clerical that we remove Mrs. Glab?
So
do we need to
on the
amend it?
agenda that was posted, Ms. Glab was on there. I did amend the agenda. I've updated it online. But since she's only going to be here for another two more meeting, this meeting and another one. Are you here for the second March meeting? Yes. So we didn't want to do a resolution where she's here for two meetings and then yes. So I have amended the agenda online to reflect that she's not going to be a signer. And I have everybody's signature except for Mr. Jacobson's because he's not here this evening. He's on Zoom.
Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On Resolution 2507, a resolution designating city officials authorization to sign on City of North Pole accounts. Excuse me, Mr. Keller,
Yes.
Ms. Glab,
Yes.
Mr. Claus,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Jacobson,
Yes.
and Mayor Church.
Yes. Would anyone like to change their vote? Seeing none. That brings us to item E, a request to council. Chief, thank you.
This,
Before, please, sorry. Go ahead.
This request to council is from the fire department for our Code Blue grant. Historically, every year we put in for these Code Blue grants and what they do is it's state funding for providing EMS supplies and equipment. We've taken advantage of this for many, many years. And historically, the procedure has been they actually purchase the equipment and it's kind of a donation to the fire department with a 10% match. So that's was the assumption. That's the way it was going to be during this grant year, which is the fiscal year 23 Code Blue grant. But they had some issues with ordering the equipment traditionally, and they've asked us if we could order the equipment through the fire department's normal procurement processes, and then they would just reimburse the department for the 90% that they normally would have paid up front. So I obviously didn't budget to for that $15,000 total amount. I had expected to pay the $1,570 out of our EMS supply budget is how we normally do it. So with this being at a $15,000 mark, it definitely needed to come to council to make you aware that that we're going to agree to purchase this equipment up front. It'll get us the equipment quicker. It'll actually save us a little bit in shipping costs. And most of all, get it finally here. We've been waiting on this grant is way overdue. We usually would have accepted this equipment sometime last summer. So we're excited to get it here. We just need the approval to be able to front the cost, and then through the state Code Blue, through Interior Region EMS, they will reimburse us that 90% once it's arrived.
Okay. Any questions of the chief?
So the list of items, if you,
Yeah, can you
Madam
go to the,
Clerk?
scroll to the other sheet if it's there, because it shows some that are redlined.
yeah, that was actually my question was what happened with the red line?
So the red lines, they had started the normal process. We've already received those. They purchased
Okay.
those and we've received those.
Awesome.
So we wouldn't have to front that cost. We are having to pay our 10% match for those. But it's the ones that are not redlined that are still pending, and they've asked us to purchase those and do the reimbursement.
Okay. So,
When they asked us, did they give us the letter asking us that?
I had to request this formal letter from them. It was through emails and phone calls mostly.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay, I'd like to move
Chief.
to. Go ahead, Councilman Jacobson.
Yes, Chief Heineken, are these funds any that are mixed up in the impoundment of releasing federal funds?
Not that I'm aware of. I do not believe that's the case.
Okay,
This is through state funding is where it's coming from, and I don't believe there's any link to federal funding through the state there.
okay, because oftentimes these there are funds that are passed through from federal to state agencies to local agencies, so that's just my concern.
I
But
do not
I'm-
believe that's the case.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? I'd like to move to approve the spend of $15,705 with reimbursement back when that does come through. But it allows the fire department to purchase the supplies and wait for that minus the required match. I'd like to move to approve that.
I'll second.
So that was all one motion, all of those words?
Sorry, I'd like to move to approve the North Pole Fire Department to spend $15,705.
I'll second.
Perfect. So moved and seconded by Councilman Glab. Madam
Okay.
Clerk?
On the request to council to purchase EMS supplies via Code Blue, Mr. Jacobson,
Yes?
Mr. Claus,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Keller,
Yes.
Ms. Glab,
Yes.
and Mayor Church.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. That brings us to our item F, our second utility request roundup.
What is the dollar amount in that?
So the total invoice for that, Councilman Jacobson, was $3,057 for that invoice, of which this resident has a credit through the Flint Hills program of $1,505.93. If that credit was applied to her bill or their bill, it would leave a total balance due of $1,551.07.
May I ask a question?
Please.
Emily, do I need to make a motion for discussion?
If you guys want to properly, yes, bring it onto the floor.
I'd like to make a motion for discussion on the water roundup program request.
I will second that.
Thank you, Ms. Glab.
I don't think that's the proper motion. You can't have a motion to discuss. You make a motion to
It's a
take
motion.
action.
To approve, to.
I try to correct that. I apologize. I'd like to motion to take action on the roundup program request. Is that correct, Jeff?
No. How about move to approve 50% forgiveness of the total invoice?
So the motion
That-
is that the actual action.
That's the action that with a second that we can discuss and change it through our discussion.
Okay, I understand.
Ms. Glab, would you like to just change your motion to move to approve the 50%?
I would like to change it slightly from that. I would like to move to approve a 50% reduction in the remaining balance of roundup request.
I'll second that. Thank you, Ms. Glab.
Thank you, Jeff, for your assistance.
I appreciate that. Okay, discussion about this.
So if the bill is $100, then all they have to pay is 50 and we pay 50. That's correct?
Well, with this particular one,
whatever the price is.
The difference, so they'll get a credit to their bill already for what was already put out, what was designated when that change was made. So the remainder, but yes, it would be a 50-50 for the remaining balance.
I would like to move to amend the total bill that the client would have to pay to $1,000, which would give them $551.07 worth of relief out of the Roundup program. Okay.
I'll second that.
Thank you. I was just getting ready to kill my own motion. Thank you, Mr. Williams. Discussion.
I'm not in favor of this. I think, the fact that they had a $1,500 credit, that's still money that would be theirs to pay future bills. The expense was $3,000. The credit is not ours to say, well, that doesn't, we're not going to take, we're going to take that away from you, and we're only going to give you 50% of what you really have to pay out of pocket now. Because that $1,500 would have paid future water bills for them. As with all the others who are on this new system with credits similar.
Okay. Okay, Madam Clerk. So the two amendments, please, in the original motion, or the
I heard one amendment to the original motion.
one amendment to the original motion. As long as we're done with discussion, will you please call the roll?
So, point of clarification. So the original motion was 50%, from Mrs. Glab was 50% of the remaining balance after the Flint Hills credit was taken out of the final bill. All right, so that was the original motion. The amendment to the motion was only $551.07 be transferred over from the Roundup. What Mr. Jacobson was just saying was, and actually his previous almost motion was for 50% of the total bill to be covered from Roundup. So we don't have an official motion, Mr. Jacobson, to amend this this request. Is that something that you want to make?
We can't have multiple motions on the floor.
Yeah.
I was just saying I was not supportive of the second amendment and clarifying why.
Okay, all right. I get it. Okay, so we're voting now on the amendment.
On the amendment
to-
that, so the $1,000 remaining for the client and the 551.07 gone from Roundup, correct? Yes. On that motion, Mr. Keller,
No.
Mr. Claus,
No.
Ms. Glab,
No,
Mr. Williams,
No,
Mr. Jacobson,
No.
and Mayor Church.
No.
Okay. On what, is there further discussion on the 50% reduction?
The
The- oh,
original.
gotcha.
Yeah.
So now the discussion is 50% of the reduced amount.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Which ends up being $750. Yeah.
So a 50% reduction of the 1551.07.
Yep. And that was the original motion made.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Okay, on the request to council for the Roundup utility Roundup 2502, excuse me, Mr. Keller?
I can't hear anybody.
That's
We're
'cause
reflecting.
I can't even hear my own mind think right now, Mr. Jacobson. I'm hmm. No.
Okay, Mr. Williams?
Okay. Out of this $1,551, half of it will be paid by us, right?
This is what you're currently voting on. Yes, sir.
I say yes.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Williams. Ms. Glab?
Yes.
Mr. Jacobson?
He on mute?
Asleep?
Did we lose Mr. Jacobson?
Contemplating.
I'm looking like I don't see him on there. That's my Zoom computer. He'd have to reconnect. I'm texting him right now. Oh, it will pop up, admit back in here. Yeah, we'll be able to see. Since we're having technical difficulties, Mr. Claus,
Yes.
Mayor Church,
Yes.
and we will wait here for Mr. Jacobson for a moment. I did send him a text asking if we lost him, but by simple majority, it does pass of four yeses.
Due to technical difficulties, can we enter that into the record by a simple majority?
Yes, four council members approved it, so it's approved.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Okay, seeing none, we'll move forth. That brings us to council members' comments, and hopefully we can get Mr. Jacobson back on the horn. Madam Clerk, where shall we start?
Excuse me. Normally, I would start with Mr. Jacobson, but I'll watch for him to log back in. So let's start with Ms. Glab.
I want to say, Chief Dutra, it is a sad day to see you leave. You have been not only a wonderful coworker and friend, but very helpful under some very stressful situations that we've dealt with here at the City Hall. And I know that the things that you've taught your staff and the other officers under your purview will continue to grow the good things that you've started doing in this community. And I hope Jed is prepared for the chaos that's going to incur when you actually leave. It's been my honor. Thank you. With that, I'll pass down.
Oh, thank you. Sorry. Mr. Williams?
I'd like to say that it seems like every time we have a council meeting, we always get into something just a little bit deeper I hope we all remember this so we can get easier as time go on. Because it will get a little harder for us. But if we can remember everything we done and focus, then down the road, it's gonna be real easy for us. When a mistake comes around, we fix it and we move on and learn from what we did. That's the key issue. And I hate to see you go. I keep you here another couple of years. But the wife would have something to say to that. Everybody else, I always say, let's work together as a team. We can get things done much quicker and faster. And I drop the mic to whoever.
Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Williams. Mr. Keller?
Yeah. So Chief Dutra, you have some big shoes that you're leaving behind. And thank you. Thank you. Geez, almost 3 decades in the same place. Ish. Thank you. Thank you. The culture that we have here is a lot to thank to you. And it's some of that portion of the shoes to fill is to continue that culture. That we don't have some of the issues that we have that other departments have. So thank you. Thank you. Also a reminder, we do have reserves that you can for sure just sign up for, apply. They may accept you back into reserves. I'm just saying. So we need someone to ride the motorcycle in the summer. So
Right.
I'm just letting you know. Maybe we'll bring back the tan and green uniforms too for you, just for reserves, because I know that you love those uniforms. Anyways, I'm excited. That was my first resolution ever presented or ordinance. That was pretty cool. Thank you for your support, and I'm looking forward to seeing how things roll with that. Also, I attended a Chamber of Commerce meeting last week, which the school district superintendent spoke at, and I came away with 2 questions. What do we want from our neighborhood schools, and what do we need? So what do we want from our neighborhood schools, and what do we need? And that's really what he's trying to search for. He's under a lot of gunfire. Every time I see him, I go, "Hey, how's that target on your back?" He just smiles and nods. So he's under a lot of pressure trying to figure out what to do with the schools, what to do with the students. And that is a multifactorial algorithm that he's trying to put together. I invite all of us to go to Chamber of Commerce meeting. Each meeting since our current CEO has been there, they've invited all of the elected officials to stand and introduce themselves. Over the course of 2 months, we've had 2 meetings that there's more than just me. So I will say that North Pole City Council is getting a lot of face there because I will stand up and everybody smiles and goes, "Yes, you're the only one here." Last week, Mayor Hopkins was there because the superintendent was presenting. And then a couple of meetings before that, we had more people show up because it was a bigger event. So I invite all of us, and that goes for any elected official in the borough and Fairbanks. Come and see what the business community is doing. There is a lot. And tomorrow, the speaker is our DA. So if you have any questions that you would like to have the DA asked, let me know because it is a Q&A session. So I'm excited for what we're doing. Echo Mr. Williams. We got to learn where we are and got to keep going. The issues are not as complicated as they can be. So let's look to the future. Things are warming up. Make sure you look at your spouts. Make sure you look at your surroundings and get ready for some warm weather, bringing on potential flooding. So be ready. And with that, I pass.
Thank you, Mr. Keller. I still don't have Mr. Jacobson. Mr. Claus?
Chief Dutra, thank you for your stellar service and for your friendship, for leaving us in great hands, and also to your family for supporting you and for us indirectly all these years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Claus. Mayor Church?
Chief Dutra, I don't know if your plans involve gardening, but if they do, maybe vertical gardening. You can take over and run the department and make that something special. At the same time, enjoy your retirement. I will enjoy the next couple of months hanging out and enjoying you being around and having you around here. And I know that you will enjoy retirement, and I hope that your family enjoys having you around a whole lot more. I'm sure that they will. I'm sure that they will, and you get to take all those trips that you should have taken when you were working but didn't because you were so dedicated to your job. Important to remember to take time out and do that. It's a limited quantity that we get, and now is the time more than ever. So thank you all for being here tonight. I appreciate your patience with me. This got printed double side. I'm a one-sided type guy. So I fumbled around a little bit in this evening's meeting, and I appreciate your patience with that. With that, the roads are getting slick. Please be careful. Slips, trips, and falls this time of year are a big, big thing. Stay off the ice, check your smoke detectors, and enjoy your evening. I'd like to move to adjourn.
Second.
We are adjourned at 8:45.
Madam Clerk, go get some water.
Not a problem. In the truck.
Congratulations, Anton. I'm glad that passed.
Individuals ever get those new meters? Because those new meters will hurt you.
They did.
Okay.
They haven't. And that's why. It is what it is.
Yeah, it'll get better.
When you're in and out of this every day and you get to see the ins and outs.
Good night.
Thank you, Chief.
Take care.
Absolutely, and I saw you, sir, at the Iditarod today,
Yeah.
so you look like you're having fun.
Oh, it was great.
It's a good time.
Hey,
How are you doing?
wonderful
Thanks for coming
opportunity.
out.
Tell your wife said.
I said, hey.
She helped me out.
I heard not you, but I heard someone, so.
Yeah, she got him straight for me.
We can talk to him.
Yeah. I can tell.